I'm sure you've already heard and have seen in the paper and seen in the magazines about the degree of stress that our post-secondary students are experiencing. And it's true, there's a number of different challenges that students have these days that I certainly didn't have when I was at university. But there's also different demands and different expectations that come with students who certainly come to the University of Toronto, and that certainly is part of being a U of T student. You're all the tops of your class, you're all the best at your sports, and you're all really good at everything you do. But what we haven't done, probably in a society, is really prepared you for the experience of university away from high school. So I'm guilty as a parent, and I'm sure lots of other parents are guilty too, of really wanting to give you guys the best upbringing possible, not to make it painful or hurt too much, and not for you to fail at anything. And we've probably done you a disservice because we haven't really given you the opportunity to sit with an uncomfortable emotional experience, face a failure, or not be really good at something. When you get here in September as an undergraduate, or when you get here in September as a graduate student, all those bets are off, and you're in a new environment that has different challenges. You're amongst 58 to 60,000 students on the downtown campus alone. It's a very big challenge that's different from small town Ontario or small town Canada, or from some international place where you've come to, and you're suddenly landed here. And one student once said to me, I didn't know what to expect, but when I went to the grocery store and saw the wall of milk, I knew I was in trouble. Didn't actually appreciate that until I actually knew what he was. I couldn't imagine what that would have been like. But I don't want to paint the picture that all our students are struggling. Back in 2013, we do a triannual, so every 3 years, we do a student survey looking at health and wellness behaviors across our campus, and back in 2013, we did the NCHA, which is the National College Health Assessment data. And along with that, I'll show you some of that data, and along with that, we also added our own questions, and one of them was looking at positive psychology. Positive psychology right now is sort of de rigueur in post-secondary education, that we really want to focus on people's strengths and their abilities and not on their weaknesses. So along with asking about risky health behaviors and positive health behaviors, we also asked about positive psychology. In the summation of the results, it landed out that at U of T, certainly on the St. George campus, we have students that are flourishing. 45% of the respondents report no difficulty coping, they're doing well at school, they're having great relationships, life is pretty good. We've got a 55% number of our students who are reporting some difficulties and some struggles with coping and getting assignments done, and some difficulties with relationships and work and feeling overwhelmed. But we would still consider those moderate. So they're not flourishing, but they're not languishing. U of T had a report of 2% who are languishing, and these are students who have great difficulty with their coursework, they're very stressed out, they're having a hard time getting along with people, they might have a difficult time at home, just a lot of challenges as they try to manage their post-secondary work. So I want to make sure that people understand that most of the students at university are doing really well, that there is a really small portion of students that are really having a hard time. And Dr. Angel actually pointed that out to me. He said that I lived in a very unfortunate existence working in health and wellness because I saw all the sick students, which is true. But that's what we're there for. So health and wellness, we're down on St. George and College. We see in both our counseling services and our health services upwards of 18,000 students on an annual basis. 4,000 students for sure, 4,500 are seen in CAPS for mental health issues, and another third of the remaining students who are seen in health services are coming there also for stress-related problems. And a lot of the students that we actually see in health services are international students who find the stigma of coming to a counseling service too big to overcome, and that it's much easier for them to go and talk to a family practitioner. Wanted to talk about sort of 4 different areas. So our student expectation. So again, I've sort of touched on that, but the other things that go along with being a student is also that towards graduation, where you're worried about what you're going to do. Were your marks good enough to get into grad school? Are you going to get into grad school? Are you going to get a job, or what's going to happen? We do have poor job prospects at the moment, that our rate of unemployment for this age is twice the national average of everybody unemployed, so we need to work on that. And really, have we or have our parents done a great job of preparing us for the world? Another, sorry, I'm just running ahead and not showing you the slides I made, which aren't very good because everybody's on March break and I'm not really skilled at this. So I talked to you about all the students who are feeling 45, 55, and 2. But this is reporting all students who filled out our National College Health Assessment form. So despite the fact that they're coping really well and that they're managing things really well, they're still saying that they feel overwhelmed, that they felt very sad, that they felt very lonely, felt things were hopeless, and in a very sad thing, have attempted suicide. Now, obviously, this is a self-selected group. We weren't able to access all the students on campus, but this is the stats that we have. I've left us as the Ontario peers because that includes both UTSC and UTM with St. George. We make up most of the Ontario peers. And the Canadian peers took a group of us a long time to actually get 34 institutions to participate, so we'd have a reference group data. So this is referencing 34,000 students across the country. So we talk about stress. And this is what students are reporting, that their stress is interfering with their academic performance. But if you look at some of these other things, if you're not sleeping, it's going to be harder to manage your stress and mood. If you're not eating well, it's going to be hard to manage your stress and mood. If you're too distracted with depression and internet games, it's going to be hard to focus on the work that you have to do. So it's all kind of intermixed. The other distraction that I would say that we see in this cohort is the constant connectivity. So this age group, born 1982 to around 2003, are constantly connected. And another piece I'll tell you about that is a couple of years ago, I have a student advisory committee, and I spoke to them about, could we have let's disconnect for a day? Well, I would have thought that I was asking them to, have an uprising. We negotiated, and we have consistently for the last 3 years disconnected for an hour. That's about as far as I can get. But anyways, I will continue to try, and maybe with all your support, we might be able to get a bit further than the 60 minutes that I've had success with. So self-care and nutrition. We see, take care of yourself, get sleep, don't work so hard, don't use the internet. What students will come with us is this generalized, undifferentiated, I'm stressed and I don't know what to do about it. And it goes back to Chris's speak about mindfulness and paying attention. Coming to counseling services, if you've got a financial difficulty, is not going to solve your problem. Coming to counseling services when you're worried about what your career choice is not going to solve your problem. We need to get students in the right place at the right time. Students who pull all-nighters, they don't realize that that gives them the same blood alcohol level of 0.05. And so when you tell that to a group of students, they just kind of go, you're kidding. But they're not aware of this. And I don't think we're able in a very meaningful way to do a really great method of communicating out sort of all the important things that students should be doing. And it's probably not just the job of health and wellness, but it's the job of sort of all of us in small ways to point out sort of really healthy behaviors to help students manage their stress. So just in terms of what we provide through health and wellness, we have a series of cognitive behavioral-based workshops that help students with their mood modifications, balanced living, sort of managing their emotional experience. We have Peers Are Here, which is a peer support network that occurs every day of the week, so students can drop in, and that happens at both an undergraduate and a graduate level. We've embedded counseling, so hopefully to access students who aren't coming to our services because coming through the door is too stigmatizing, so that they can be in their own environment and seek support there, and also so the embedded counselors understand the waxes and wanes of the particular faculty or college that they're embedded in. We have mindful moments, which was fell out of the provost research, so we now have mindful opportunities that happen up to 4 times a day, 4 days a week, where students can drop in and have mindful practice, and it is highly attended, and the students really enjoy it. At least that's the feedback that we get, that that's one of the things that they get great pleasure out of. And then finally, I have been trying, and with some success now, to actually have students come to group interventions. Not because, well, because I think it's really helpful if they come to meet others in a group setting so that they realize that they're not alone. They can meet others in the community, and they can learn the techniques and discuss the pros and cons and successes of everything with peers their own age, because that's actually who they want to hear from. They don't want to really hear from me. That's certainly been what we found out when we did the mental health report. And that's the one other thing I wanted to tell you about U of T. We have just completed the mental health framework. We have 22 recommendations that we need to enact. The best part about this is that senior management has acknowledged the importance of this as both a strength and a value for the University of Toronto. And so we will be embarking on that in the next few years, because everything doesn't get done here in a year. So thank you very much.